Hey, Happy New Year and welcome to 2024. I hope you had a nice Christmas and I hope you hit your rank goals, or if not, that you get there in the next few days before season ends. So, I have been playing Nami for over a decade now. Firstly, ouch, I'm old. Secondly, don't look at my match history lately, I'm just in a waiting room for the new items, but I have never before realised what I'm about to say or see anyone else mention it as a mistake. So picture this, you're on your way back to lane out of base, or you're rotating to an objective across the map. You want to apply your passive in order to get there just a little bit faster. How and when should you do so? If you use your E, that's fine, but if you use your Q or W, you may be slowing yourself down, or at the very least, just wasting mana and cooldowns. Let's look at an example in order to prove it before we explain why. On top is just moving regularly, and on the bottom we self-cast W as much as we can. Nothing else changes, we move to the same location from the starting location, and we have the same base move speed. So what is going on? The problem is that Q and W have 0.25 second cast times, and this loss of movement is very rarely compensated for by the increase in move speed, and more often than not, you have slowed yourself down. To explain things in a nice, simple manner, let's say that Nami has tier 2 boots for a move speed of 380. If she stands still for a 0.25 second cast time, she loses 90 units of movement. For it to be worth it, she'd need to travel an additional 91 units from the move speed granted by her passive. Nami's passive gives 100 plus 25% AP move speed decaying over 1.5 seconds, or, in simpler terms, an average of 50 plus 25% AP flat move speed, which allows us to travel 75 plus 37.5% AP additional units. Therefore, we'd need like 40 AP to break even, otherwise we're slowing ourselves down. Once we throw in move speed softcaps though, and that it appears as if there are ticks of the 1.5 seconds where Surging Tides gives no move speed, we need more AP. Rather than just have me sit here and yap, here are some common scenarios in practice. In order to keep the runs consistent, I placed a pink ward outside of the tier 1 turret and clicked to it each time. Recalled before each of the attempts in order to ensure that we start in the same position. Each comparison only changes whether we cast W on ourselves, otherwise the amount of move speed we have from boots remains the same. Do keep in mind that my footage was limited to 60 frames per second. Results are an estimate that contains possible inaccuracy from the conversion and limited FPS in the original footage, so if it's really close then the two could be effectively the same. First of all, no boots with 28 AP, and we can see that ever so slightly it does look as if casting W allows us to reach lanes several milliseconds faster, which could be even faster if you have AP before tier 1 boots, which is not an uncommon scenario. You use a bunch of mana to more or less arrive at the same time, so I think we can say it's not really worth it outside of those super rare scenarios where you think those milliseconds will matter. But once we add tier 1 boots to the mix, we are starting to slow ourselves down by casting W to apply passive. And naturally, once we have tier 2 boots, the effect is even more pronounced. How much AP does it take in order to be worth it? I'm not sure, but I did do 2 more tests. One where we have a standard 2-item enchanter Nami core of Mandate and Shirelius, which close the gap a bit, but you're still slower than just walking. And then I did an AP late game build, which had a bit over 300 AP where we're marginally faster. I'm deliberately avoiding giving any rules because there are a ton of ways to get move speed throughout the game, which could change things, and I don't want to misinform, and we're just talking about casting on ourselves out of combat for the purpose of rotations. In conclusion, only really use E on yourself when rotating. In most scenarios, if you use Q or W to apply passive, you are decreasing your movement. I don't know if this is something already well known, and I'm super late to the party, but yeah, it seems counterintuitive and like it needs to be explicitly said, so I hope it was useful, and if not, then, well, my bad.